Hi, everybody. Welcome back to episode 87 with Sold with Updike Pugh. And today we are going to talk about real estate trends and predictions.
Yes. Seems like there's so many headlines out there right now. And Jeff and I wanted to take and pull some of this because we typically want to make sure that we know things from a 30,000. What is NAR saying? National Association of Realtors. Mm-hmm. Where does it look like it's coming from? Texas. And then also what's going on here just in the DFW and the Dallas area.
Yeah, real estate is, real estate is local, but it's also heavily influenced by everything that goes on a national level. And, with the pandemic that we've been dealing with for the last 6 to 8 weeks, one of the things that we've seen is, I think was very expected was there was this really big plunge in pending home sales in April. This is a Housing Wire News article that referenced NAR's report about it. And the April pendings were down 21%. But, we're really thinking that May is going to be the kind of the low point in this.
And it's interesting that you're never able to know where the low point is until you actually see it start to come back. Mm-hmm. And this is what we have seen. I think we kind of started off the show by saying what the Netris results were and what Ebby's were. And we definitely can say that there is the beginning to look back and say that was the low spot behind us.
Mm-hmm. New listings in May. For 2020, there were 14,735 listings that came in new into the market, and that is fewer than came into the market in May of 2019, but only by, less than 1,000 or so.
And that's with us scrambling to get to that 14,000. Can you imagine if we had been full trucking from the months before? We could have definitely gone past that 16,000 number, I would have guessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking in MLS this morning, and there were, 553 new listings just entered in the last 24 hours. So it's definitely on the swing up, which to me says if you're in the market to buy a home, if you are considering doing it, now is going to be a really good time to get into the market because there is going to be some really good property coming on in the next 60 days.
And what a great segue into the next one. We're talking about home buying is set to take off. And one of the indicators that we're looking at right here is the purchase mortgage applications. And it's really important that we hit the note on purchase and not refi, because this is people who are looking to come into the market and get a house, not actually refi their current home. And so this is a really strong indicator that we're excited about.
Yeah, and the new home, the purchase applications are up 18% over what they were a year ago. Mm-hmm. So that that in itself just tells you there are a lot more people that are really coming in to take advantage of mortgage rates.
And the interesting thing in this article, we're going to put all the links into the article in the comments. But in this article, the 15-year interest rates on average, I remember those being what people were using for interest-only ARMs in 2006 and 7. And I'm like, goodness, that is some amazing money right now.
Yeah, they were in the high twos, I believe is what that article said.
2.85.
Yeah. The average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has fallen in the last week from 3.37%, I'm sorry, from to 3.37% from 3.42%. That's a negligible fall, but it does continue to show that rates are still coming down slowly, just inch at a time. But they are.
They are. It'll be interesting to see. Have they leveled off? Have we seen them as low as they're going to go?
Yeah, and Realtor.com does a really interesting monthly newsletter or monthly housing trends report. And they did the one for May 2020, and just a couple of things that I thought stood out in that. One is that the national median list price hit an all-time high at $330,000, and that is 1.6% higher than it was a year ago.
It'll be interesting to figure out when they drill down where that came from.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, what price segment did that affected that most?
Exactly. Yeah. I want to know what caliber, because it wasn't just taken across the board. We're going to average it, but where did that really come in at?
Yeah, I would agree. The second was that this year, none of the top 50 metro locations saw a reduction in inventory. I'm sorry, they saw a reduction. They did not see an increase in inventory.
Right.
So
that'll That's going to change here in a little bit as we get the building permits pulled, but that'll be a 6-month drag probably.
Well, and that really kind of rolls into the next article that talks about, what we see happen in construction in 2020 is probably going to be a big influence on the 2021 remodeling season.
Oh yeah. Because if you think about it, and we always talk about, and we've got clients right now that are kind of debating about bringing their house on the market. And my point is that there is a shortage of inventory right now in the new home construction in this area that they live in. And my point was, like, there will be people that still are going to have to relocate, they're going to have to downsize, or they're going to have to increase their house, and yours is going to fit, and you're a 30 to 45 day move, whereas a developer is going to be behind and not be able to capture that. So you're going to see that, but you're also going to see people who are just going to do the remodel and not go anywhere.
Yeah, the new permits issued and the new housing starts in April were off almost 30%. And so, builders smartly just kind of came to a stop in not knowing what was going to be happening. And so it takes time for even that end of it to cycle back up. So let's say it takes 90 days for the permits and the starts to start happening again. That, is a 6 to 12 month period before any of that inventory is ready to come to the market.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think that Jeff and I were talking about is that located here climate-wise, we're in an area where we actually can buy and sell, remodel, and start homes almost year-round. We do have some rainy seasons and whatnot, but for the most part, we're not in an area that really shuts down, either because people leave, it's not a vacation destination, and port of a season, or because it's just almost impossible to get out and preview and look at homes because of the weather. So that always makes the Dallas market just a little bit easier to weather those times. Literally.
And I think one of the other things that we're kind of predicting is that we're going to see the higher prices in the market because of the lack of inventory is going to boost a lot of people's equity in their home. And there are a lot of people that's what they use to do their home renovation with. They'll get a second lien, they'll get a home equity line of credit. They may refinance and do a cash out refinance. We were talking to one of our really good clients yesterday about putting a pool in, and he did a tremendous amount of renovation on his house when he bought it, but he knows this is going to be a long-term house, and so he was kind of balancing that. Should I spend 75 or 80,000 on a pool, and how much of that will I get back? And I'm guessing he's probably going to do it because of the time he's going to choose to live there. It's going to make sense for him to have the enjoyment of that and enjoy where he lives even more.
Time is a big equalizer.
It really is.
It's one of those things that it allows you to defer all that across the years, plus you're enjoying it. We actually have clients that actually didn't have that, and it was a little bit more of a challenge to get them out of the house.
Yeah,
at that price point.
That's true.
The opposite is true as well. Moving on, Millennials.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dallas.
Yeah, welcome to Dallas. Dallas is one of the top 10 markets for millennial buyers during the pandemic. And I think we can attribute that to a lot of different things. Almost a third of the residents in our market are millennials. Think about that.
I would agree with that.
I mean, so that is, and a lot of times they're going to be buying in that first, I'm going to call it the first time home buyer price point. It's going to be, around 300-ish and down.
Right.
And that is always the biggest pool of buyers and the biggest pool of inventory.
Yep. And the other thing too is one of the, I remember talking with Jason about this, and he said something like, how can we just have all these millennials moving here? And I said, think about all of the universities. They've never had a shortage of people. Maybe this year might be the first, but people get done with college and they move into larger metropolitan areas, and Dallas happens to be, for Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, one of the big draws. Hence, we have a large number of millennial buyers in this market right now.
Yeah, and and so if you think about it, and you've got either a single income household that's got a salary of close to $100,000, or you've got a dual income household that's got double whatever that is. One of the really interesting points that came out of this, and I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I say it right, is this study said a household earning $100,000 in North Texas can afford to buy 56% of the homes listed for sale, compared with 45% last year. And so the two things that I kind of pull out of that is we are seeing some wage increase in the DFW market because there has been demand for those, a lot of those millennial buyers. But in addition to that, we've seen interest rates come down. And, you know, with every quarter point reduction in the interest rate, you can go up by about 10% in your buying power.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it makes a huge difference.
It does. It makes a difference between being in an area that you're absolutely in love with and being like, oh man. And that's when people decide to wait and continue to rent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and nationally, you know, again, millennials make up the largest pool of home buyers in most of these metropolitan areas. So if you are a buyer of any bracket, but, you know, specifically we were talking about millennials today, and you're considering buying that first home, then give us a call. We want to help you do that. We have done that hundreds and thousands of times. We actually just closed on a house yesterday. It was one of our friends' first house, millennial, great house, got a great deal. Just, you know, he couldn't be happier about it. So,
and the great thing too is that the relationships that we have with both title, with lenders, they go the distance.
They do.
And they really make that transaction smooth and easy because we understand, actually going through it right now, the stress that there is involved in buying, selling, and moving. So I have a new appreciation, again, for making this as easy as we can on you every day.
Yes. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope we brought some information to you that you can use. If there's anything that you'd like for us to talk about on the second segment, please just drop it into the comments. We'll be happy to do that for you.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.